Get ready to reimagine the future of humanity and unlock your true potential. Welcome to Reimagining Humanity's Future and Yours, hosted by Dr. David Gruder, an internationally renowned integrative psychologist, human potential expert, author, and social change catalyst, as he delves into the most urgent issues of our time. With the world facing unprecedented challenges and social and political divides growing deeper, it's time to take action. Each episode of this groundbreaking series will empower you with invaluable insights, strategies, and tools to heal these divisions and restore personal freedom and societal well-being. Whether you're a concerned citizen, a courageous leader, an influential figure, or an ambitious entrepreneur, Reimagining Humanity's Future and Yours will guide you on a transformative journey. Discover your unique role in creating a brighter future for yourself and society at large. Dr. David Gruder will draw upon his extensive knowledge and experience to provide practical solutions for shaping the world we live in. With his passionate exploration of social change, he will help you navigate through the complexities of our time and inspire you to make a meaningful impact. So, prepare yourself for an eye-opening experience as we delve deep into the heart of the matter. Reimagining Humanity's Future and Yours will challenge your perspectives, ignite your imagination, and equip you with the tools you need to reimagine and redefine the world around you. The time to transform our future is now. Join us on this incredible journey and enter a new era of possibility. For more information on Dr. David Gruder and the Reimagining Humanity's Future and Yours, visit www.rhfy.ca. Welcome to Reimagining Humanity's Future and Yours, where together, we create a brighter tomorrow. Now, here is the host of Reimagining Humanity's Future and Yours, Dr. David Gruder.
Well, welcome back to the Reimagining Humanity's Future and Yours show on Relmar's CanCom Broadcast Network, proudly broadcasting from Canada to the world. I'm your host, Dr. David Gruder, the futurist, polymath of human potential, bottleneck buster, and civilizational architect who equips leading-edge leaders, influencers, helping professionals, and you with vital resources that make it possible for humanity's most spiritually elevated future to at last emerge. The title of this episode is Reimagining Creativity, Part 1, The Doorway into Your Creative Life Force. Most people think of creativity as something artists, musicians, and writers do, but what if creativity is actually one of life's primary organizing forces for all of us? What if our relationship with beauty, imagination, and the creative life force profoundly shapes our nervous system, our consciousness, our well-being, and even our ability to navigate today's increasingly stressful world? Well, in this episode and the next, we'll reveal why partnering intentionally with your creative self is an essential life practice. We'll discuss the deeper truths about the creative life force and how it permeates every aspect of existence, why creativity is not optional, and how consciously cultivating your daily relationship with beauty matters far more than most of us realize. Whether you consider yourself artistic or not, this conversation may open the doorway to recognizing your own creative life force and expanding it in terms of how you experience life. My guest for the next two episodes is Laurie Morse. Laurie brings together worlds that are too often separated: art, healing, and consciousness. She has practiced Chinese medicine for 35 years, spent more than 20 years as a professional artist, and is the author of 3 books providing deeper perspectives on healing and transformation. Throughout her work, she has developed a profound understanding of the relationship between intuition, intention, creativity, energy, the nervous system, and our capacity to live from greater balance and wholeness. Her paintings are far more than visual experiences. Through botanical symbolism, layered texture, intuitive mark making, and what she calls visual alchemy, Laurie creates artwork that invites calm, deepens reflection, and reconnects us with the creative life force itself. Laurie also happens to be my wife, making this an especially meaningful conversation for you to eavesdrop on. And poetically, this is also the a show milestone. This is episode 60. So I'm delighted to welcome you back to Reimagining Humanity's Future and Yours, honey.
Thank you. It's wonderful to be here.
And in this first segment, Laurie and I will explore a question that almost everyone faces, whether they consider themselves creative or not. Why do so many of us feel disconnected from inspiration, beauty, and aliveness in our daily lives? And we'll examine the subtle symptoms of that disconnect and why reclaiming a relationship with creativity may be far more important than many realize. But before we delve into that, Laurie, please let us know a little bit about how your passion about creativity and connecting with the creative life force first emerged.
Yeah. Well, so the creative life force is the same thing as the term qi, which is, what the Chinese medicine model calls life force, right? And you might have heard that word qi, but the way I like to think of life force is that it's like the wind. I mean, it's blowing the trees and the branches sway, but we don't see the wind, but we can't say it doesn't exist. And that same thing is happening in our body. It's pumping our blood and digesting our food right now as we speak. And what I've come to learn is that the entire impulse of the universe is creative in nature. And we are here in a human body on this planet Earth in order to co-create with life, with the universe. And that's a very, personal and universal thing. And nobody teaches us how to do that. In fact, we're kind of like programmed to the opposite, right? Like you're not creative, you're only born creative, choice few are born with talent. And that's actually not true, because I had not a creative bone in my body. I was one of those people who said, I couldn't draw a stick figure, but something in me, and it happened during menopause. It was an impulse that I could not ignore. I tried to. And all I know is that I was sitting at a table with a sketchbook and a few colors around me. And that when I did that, there was a stillness that kind of settled in. And that is literally was a healing force inside of my system as things were going haywire, as women know during menopause. And I couldn't ignore it. And I started realizing that, Chinese medicine being a healing art, and making art or visual, even just viewing art, there was a marriage there. And so I took the last 25 years to pursue what that actually means. And it's a big deal.
And you said something that was a mic drop moment, so I'm just going to repeat it for our audience. Or paraphrase it. The entire impulse of the universe is creative, and we're meant to co-create with it.
Exactly. And, there was something in the opening that said it's urgent, that we're at an urgent time. And I feel that we are at an urgent time to develop a relationship with our own creative life force, because it exists in every particle and wave of the universe. And so we're made up of those particles, right? But we have to learn how to do that. We can't slam the door in our own face and say, oh, I'm not creative. This isn't about, lots of people who are listening to this aren't necessarily going to run out and be artists. It's just about acknowledging the fact that you're a maker, that you're in a co-creative relationship with life, and cultivating and developing that relationship is really the point. If you become an artist, great. That's your soul's, growth. But our soul is starving and undernourished because it doesn't get enough acknowledgement for creativity or making or even just viewing beauty. You know how you feel when you walk out in nature being our greatest artist, right? With the most glorious colors. And when you're in nature and you're paying attention, if you're present, it does something to your system. Even the Japanese know that forest bathing is a thing. You walk in the forest and there's healing that happens, right? So yeah, so that's, and also beauty is the motivational force of the universe. Love is apparently love, I've heard this, love is the expression and beauty is love is the essence and beauty is her expression. Why would we not want to get engaged in that? It's the point. Yeah.
Yeah. Beautifully said, of course. And I want to devote the rest of this segment of the episode to us talking a little bit about why so many of us feel disconnected from inspiration, beauty, and aliveness in our daily lives, and what the subtle symptoms are of that disconnection. So let's just map out the symptoms first. What are the symptoms of disconnection?
So people use words like dysregulated nervous system, disconnection, dis-ease, right? Like anything that is out of balance in our body could be put in this category. And that could be at any level, at our physical level, mental level, emotional or spiritual. Integrity in a life is those bodies, mental, emotional, spiritual, and physical, being in harmony, or coherence is a word that's used a lot. And coherence is literally being so aligned that we feel whole. Well, not very many people feel that way. Most people are, anxious or depressed, or, living in a state of fear, waking up into fear if they sleep at all. It's a very divisive and chaotic time right now. But that's an organizational principle for what is coming after, but we have to participate. And us participating means that we have to stop believing the myth that we aren't a partner with life in a creative way. Does that answer the question? Yeah.
Right. So let me underscore all of that. We've got dysregulated nervous systems. We have dis-ease on all levels: mind, body, spirit, energy, connectedness to nature, all kinds of dysregulation. We've got basically integrity deficits in the sense of the relative absence of coherence, alignment, and harmony. We have people believing myths, and we have people living in a chronic state of fear, partly related to what I've mentioned on this show in other episodes I call societal traumatic stress disorder.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
also
so
I would throw lack of meaning in there. Lack of meaning and hopelessness also falls in this.
Right. Lack of meaning and hopelessness.
Mm-hmm.
And what about also not just hopelessness, but what in psychology is called learned helplessness, a sense that I have no impact in the world.
Right. And that's exactly right. And this leads to the doorway, which is the medicine, right? So we have our human self, our humanity, and we have our sacred self, our soul self. Some people call it our divine self. And there's a gap between those two. And the point of a life is bringing our humanity and our divinity into alignment or wholeness. And I have found as a healer for 35 years that one of the best ways to do it, I'm not saying it's the only way, but it is a very potent way. It's medicine. A way to bridge that gap between our humanity and our divinity is by participating and engaging in creative acts, in acknowledging making, as a thing, which is medicine, right? Or becoming an artist. I mean, that's what happened to me, but it doesn't mean that's the only route. What really is important is connecting. This is an internal experience. It's connecting with your heart, your soul, and your sacred self. And acts of creativity, and that could be cooking, it could be gardening, it could be painting, it could be sculpting, it could be singing, it could be jumping up and down in your living room, dancing to music you love. I mean, there's a lot of ways to do it, right? It's just what matters is that we do it with some regularity and for the rest of our lives. And that is a bridge between our humanity and our divinity. And it really matters to the whole of collective, or the whole of humanity, because the more of us who are engaged in these ways, it changes businesses, it changes all the structures. I don't need to outline all of them, but it does change all the structures for good. We have access to solutions instead of staying focused on the problem. We have access to a unified experience rather than the division that we're all watching right now. And those are big deals, right?
Mm-hmm. They are indeed big deals. And, you use a word that you and I love, which is divinity, connecting with our divinity. And in a short, non-run-on sentence because we're running down on our time in this segment.
Yeah.
How would you define divinity, our personal divinity?
Our personal divinity, I would define as a cultivated relationship with our heart, because that's the portal to consciousness. And if we want to use the word divinity, we don't have to use that word. It's a portal. Our heart is a portal to our sacred self. And part of that is also our soul. And it's our soul that said, yeah, put me in a body, throw me into the matrix, and I'll find my way.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, the rest of this episode is going to dive into the root causes of the symptoms that Laurie and I were just discussing and what to look for in a solution and Laurie's way of helping that solution emerge. After a short break, my guest, Creative Consciousness Guide, I just gave you a new moniker, Creative Consciousness Guide, Laurie Morse, and I will dig beneath the surface to expose what makes creative partnership possible. I'm Dr. David Gruder. This is the Reimagining Humanity's Future and Yours show on the CanCom Broadcast Network, proudly broadcasting from Canada to the world. And stay tuned because deeper access to creativity is on the way.
Are you looking for handcrafted quality that will stand the test of time? At Benchland Woodworking, beautiful wood creations are built with skill, passion, and attention to detail. From custom furniture and home decor to unique handcrafted pieces, every project is designed to bring warmth, character, and lasting beauty to your home. Whether you're searching for a one-of-a-kind gift or a custom piece made just for you, Benchland Woodworking delivers craftsmanship you can see and quality you can trust. Visit benchlandwoodworking.ca. Benchland Woodworking, handcrafted quality, timeless design, built to last. That's benchlandwoodworking.ca.
Welcome back. Before the break, my guest, creative life force philosopher and facilitator, Laurie Morse, and I discussed why so many people feel creatively disconnected without realizing what's missing. In this segment, we'll move beneath those symptoms to explore a much deeper layer or truth, which is creativity isn't merely something we do. It's one of the fundamental organizing principles of life itself. And Laurie will reveal what the creative life force actually is in an even deeper way, why every human being participates in it, and why our relationship with it it profoundly shapes our nervous system, our consciousness, and our capacity to flourish. What I wonder about, though, Laurie, is what are the root causes of the symptoms that we described in the first segment? Like, why are we so disconnected beyond the surface level of societal stress and nervous system dysregulation? I mean, what causes all of that in the first place?
Yeah. Well, from my perspective and my deep dives into this very question, it's almost like it's a setup. Like if I can get a little bit, more than a 40,000 foot view, when we drop into a physical form, we drop in knowing that there's going to be a mystery to solve, or what is it when mice go in those
mazes?
Maze, yeah, we're going to drop into a maze, but we are so sure on a soul level that we're going to find the cheese, and the cheese, from a human being's perspective, is this connection. So we're always connected. We just don't know this consciously. So the idea is to become exquisitely conscious that we are connected, to acknowledge it as we go throughout our day. Now, what tends to thwart that is we're always in our head, right? So we have this churning habitual thing going on where we're thinking and not giving any attention or awareness to the present moment. There's a saying that says the longest journey we will ever take is the 17 inches between our head and our heart. And it's not, it's true, right? There's truth to that. So when we're disconnected and when we're not in the present moment, and we cannot be in a present moment if we're only spinning in our head, because the head is about protecting us from fear. It's about old and past stories, and it's about worries of the future. So we have to find that little eye of the needle, so to speak, which gets bigger if we practice. And, they say that meditation is, and I agree with this, right? I'm not saying it as if I don't, but meditation is a really good way to settle the mind and come into that awareness of being present with our heart. And research shows that engaging in creativity is as powerful and potent and has the same outcome as meditation. So I've heard people say for years, I can't meditate, I can't get my mind to stop. Well, the point is that you just do it until you have a moment where your mind stops. Even the Dalai Lama says, yeah, sometimes my mind just goes crazy, but I do it anyway, meaning the meditation. But I think that there's something like there are more dimensions to creating to get the outcomes of meditation that meditation doesn't have. There's an engagement, there's an activation of calming in the stress. This is all research, by the way. There are several books out. There are lots of books out now that weren't even here 5 years ago, because this is such a thing, right? So anyway, I think that the core problem is disconnection from our divinity, if we can use that word. And when we walk ourselves every day, as many moments as we can, into that trust and engagement and calling in and tapping into and connection, even if all we do is look at a leaf outside our window from our office and just give acknowledgement to the fact that that's nature right there, and I'm part of that, you're part of that, and take a breath and imagine that you're breathing in that life force and you're aware of it. You're consciously aware of it. Those are ways that we can heal disconnection, because that's the underlying root to every disease on the planet is disconnection.
Mm-hmm. Well, you're raising an even deeper question that I'm going to dare to get into with you right now,
Okay.
which is, what on earth causes our disconnection from our divinity in the first place?
Yeah, well, it's a good question. If Earth is a school, and some say it is, and we learn by repetition, then what if, and they also say, I think, the proverbial they, right? That when we drop in, there's a veil that doesn't let us remember that we're actually part of the soup of consciousness that is love. And that's our true nature. And, if you listen to any sort of near-death experience, people who have these near deaths, they all say the same thing. Where they go before they come back into their human body, which is a death experience. I just listened to one yesterday. The guy was dead for 90 minutes. Anyway, that's another story. They all say the same thing, that we're part of this large ocean of love, and that everything is very different than the way we perceive it when we come onto Earth. So we have these shades or veils or glasses, and we say on some level, drop me in, please. Let me have this experience. I want to find that gold, which I'm going to call love, right? And that one of the ways to find it in that maze is by consciously engaging, intentionally engaging in creative acts in order to cultivate and develop that connection, so that we have access to it anytime, during arguments, during funny, twisted situations, or, harder situations. If we develop it when we're not in those situations, we have access to it when we are. And that's the whole point of a life. And this is the pièce de résistance, if I may. Every time we, at the choice point, and this happens in just a few seconds, if we choose to access a conscious connection and a present moment with our heart, and not go down the rabbit hole of our head and the same old ways that we operate, which aren't serving, when we do that, we expand love in the entire multiverse. And for me, this is a devotion, because if that's the reason we come down here and do all this stuff, and because it expands love in the universe, I can get behind that.
Well, I've got a bunch of stuff to unpack there with what you said, because it's also juicy. And so one of the things that you said was that engaging with creativity has similar or maybe even the same benefits as meditation.
It's research that it has the same benefits. Yeah.
Yeah. And that deserves to be underlined, that's not your theory. That's really been researched and verified.
Right.
Exactly. And that we're always, in any given moment, we're at a choice point around whether we're going to be choosing to access connection, and to access connection through our heart. And that leads to a kind of another dimension of root cause that I want to underscore, that you touched on, which is basically making our head more important than our heart. It's the tail is wagging the dog. Our head is a very valuable tool or instrument.
Yes.
As long as our head is in service to and harmonized with and functioning from our heart. Yes. And at a root cause level, what most people are taught to do in physical form is to make their head more important than their heart, so that the head is running the show rather than being an instrument of source, of divinity, of heart.
Right. And Albert Einstein said this too, exactly that way, that our head should be in service of our heart. And here's the interesting thing. When we put our heart in the driver's seat and our head in the co-pilot seat, which is the way it should be, our heart includes our head. It's an inclusive setup. But when we allow our head to be in the driver's seat, it excludes our heart. It doesn't want to have anything to do with anything other than our head being the boss, being the main deal. And it cuts off so much wisdom and so much intelligence and so much possibility and so much capacity, that it's like living, a small little sliver of a life when we could be living a broader and more expanded life. And that's what everybody wants. It's why people drink. It's why people do drugs. It's why people, do all the things we do. We're searching for that connection. We're searching for that, that right placement in the seats. And there is a way to actually direct ourselves in order for that to put our head, in the co-pilot seat, and then let all things be sort of ordered accordingly, and it will get ordered accordingly. That's the design of being on this planet. But we have to be the director of that, and we have to choose it. And that has to be conscious and intentional.
Right. And that brings up another layer of root cause, which I think is unresolved trauma. When we carry baggage that is not converted into gifts, which is what undesired and unexpected life experiences are meant to produce for us, is unexpected gifts. But when it becomes lodged trauma inside our being, it's what causes us to go into survival mode, where our head is in charge and our heart gets increasingly hidden.
Exactly. And, this is where the NIH has done tons of research, and not just
National Institutes of Health in the United States.
In the United States. And this is happening in all countries as well. And it's around PTSD. And we all have our versions of PTSD or trauma. It's not just related to war.
Post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD.
Yeah, sorry.
I'm
using
that's okay.
Yeah. Using a creative experience to be with that place in ourselves that is holding the trauma in order for it to have a voice, in order for it to be seen, and in order for it to be reorganized, is in part what creativity does. And I felt that, for several years during this menopause thing. I don't mean to be continuing to reference this, but it's just where I could feel and see how potent this medicine, creativity as medicine is, because it would start changing things inside of me. I learned how to overcome feeling not good enough and unworthy. And we all have that. This is what the head does to us, right? We're not good enough. You don't have a creative bone in your body. You're unworthy. You have to rush through life in order to be anything good enough. There's so many ways. And I just directed myself to be in the moment with creativity so that I could actually access what was really true, because our head would let us believe all of the trauma truths, right? And the beliefs and the stories that we create up around them. But there's a deeper truth that our heart holds, and we have to find our way into that truth in order to access our wholeness. And
awesome. Well, after the upcoming short break, we'll get to the heart of the matter, which is how to live in fuller and more consistent partnership with a creative life force. And one thing I'll quickly add is creative life force reconnection is a crucial ingredient in transforming trauma into gifts.
And transforming the world.
Yes. And I'm Dr. David Gruder. This is the Reimagining Humanity's Future and your show on the CanCom Broadcast Network. Stay right here because we are about to get into the heart of the matter.
Are you looking for handcrafted quality that will stand the test of time? At Benchland Woodworking, beautiful wood creations are built with skill, passion, and attention to detail. From custom furniture and home decor to unique handcrafted pieces, every project is designed to bring warmth, character, and lasting beauty to your home. Whether you're searching for a one-of-a-kind gift or a custom piece made just for you, Benchland Woodworking delivers craftsmanship you can see and quality you can trust. Visit benchlandwoodworking.ca. Benchland Woodworking, handcrafted quality, timeless design, built to last. That's benchlandwoodworking.ca.
And we're back. Before the break, beauty-oriented nervous system educator and catalyst Laurie Morse and I touched on what blocks creative partnership with our divine self. And as I mentioned in this segment, we're going to delve into daily practices that can cultivate our relationship with the creative life force. So, Laurie, what does a daily creative practice that turns beauty into a discipline look like? In other words, how do we become better at turning ordinary moments into creative ones?
Yeah. Well, the very first stop on this journey is the practice of being present. And it's why mindfulness is so important, and you can go learn mindfulness in any number of ways. But just the act of being present enough to notice a color or a sensation or nature that surrounds us all the time, getting out of a building. If you find that you're stuck in a building all day long, 5 days a week, then maybe your first act is to step out during a break or at lunch and just sit with a tree. I know that sounds a little bit simple, but it's important to give yourself permission to access simplicity, because the mind will always make things complicated. If you're letting yourself have simple moments, then you can trust more that you're entering more into your heart. If it starts getting complicated, it's your mind taking over. And I will tell you, your mind will want to take the reins and yank them out of your directive heart space as often as it can. Don't fight it. Just keep coming back to the present moment and whatever simplicity you have. If you are
Before you
one who
keep going, before you
say, oh
keep
yeah,
going,
go ahead. Yeah.
The there are more ingredients, but there's one piece here that I want to make sure doesn't get lost in the shuffle.
Mm-hmm.
We're practicing being present. We're practicing mindfulness in part in order to notice calls for reconnection.
Absolutely. Good point. Yeah. Yeah. The whole point, when we're present, the side effect of that is connection, right? So, but you're not going to know that until you practice it enough to start becoming like in a partnership, in a relationship with your connection, with that presence, inside of that presence. So it's going to be awkward at first. It's going to feel clumsy, but don't stop. That's my biggest, offering to you, is just don't stop, because on the other side of that clumsiness are moments where you'll notice, oh, that was good. That was connection. That was my soul speaking to me. And I will tell you that your undernourished soul wants your attention more than anything else. It's like a child that's being ignored. Of course, it's going to want your attention, and it's going to try to get your attention in any way it can. So I don't know if this is, a reasonable thing to say, but just set down your sword of suffering and disconnection and be willing to receive the connection that you always have, but are too busy in your head to notice. And this is where mindfulness will help.
Okay. So I think I got to backtrack here, because in terms of what to do, it basically starts with what you've said between the lines, and I'm going to make it explicit. Make higher connection a top intention and priority. Then from there, practice being present, practice mindfulness, so that you can notice when you do feel connected and how that feels and what that leads to for you. And so you can notice calls for reconnection with your divinity and your creative life force, so that you can then recognize when you're feeling disconnected that that's a moment to reaccess simplicity, to set down your sword of disconnection.
Exactly. And to do it without judging yourself or criticizing yourself, because it will happen all day long that you disconnect, and then you just gently bring yourself back. And so if you can let gentleness be like your guiding principle, I think that will be really helpful, because once you start cultivating your relationship with your life force, then you can ask, and this is an inquiry that we ask of our heart, show me how we want to be creative. Do we want to make? Do we want to get really engaged in gardening? Do we, you don't have to know any of those answers in the beginning. You want to establish your connection and show yourself that you can trust yourself to return to it gently. And then you can ask and be in the inquiry. It's an ongoing inquiry that you'll hold. And it will be, what are my ways? What is my heart and soul wanting? How does it want to create in this life? And here is where grace will enter, because an honest, humble inquiry will activate grace in you. And that's part of the bridge between your humanity and your divinity. It's built of grace, and it's built of your creative expression. And you cultivate, if you cultivate that over a life, it will get stronger and stronger and stronger, and you will be the person that you came here to become.
Okay, so we're accessing a state of, I'll just shorthand it based on what you've said, accessing a state of gentle simplicity, where
okay, that's good.
We're setting down our sword of disconnection without judgment and self-criticism, which means we're choosing to abstain from letting our inner critic be the boss of us,
Yes.
so that we can then enter a state of higher inquiry around the question of, well, how does creativity and grace influence my relationship with whatever's going on inside me right now?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. And I can tell you, I don't say a lot of things like this, but I know for a fact that if you are willing to hold this inquiry gently what is my creative outlets? There's probably more than one. And then you notice when your head wants to sort of steal the reins and tell you that you're not creative or you don't have any, and you set that aside gently and you just come back to the inquiry. You will be, come in connection or it'll cross your path consciously, not constantly, but consciously, what it is that your soul would like you to engage in.
Well, that is another one of those mic drop moments, which is as part of that gentle inquiry process, asking ourselves and asking our higher self, our divinity self, what is my own unique creative outlet?
Right. Let's think of it as two sides of a coin. On one side, you're viewing beauty, you're acknowledging beauty, you're giving your awareness to color and nature and anything else that you perceive as beautiful, because we all know beauty is in the eye of the beholder, right? So you want to seek out what is beautiful to you. Researchers show that something remarkable happens in our brain when we encounter beauty. And the key is we're encountering beauty all the time. We just aren't giving it any attention or awareness or conscious acknowledgement, right? So that's one side of the coin. Then the other side of the coin is what David just said about the inquiry. And you may not be ready for this yet, but know that it's the other side of the coin. Is that what are your ways of creating? What is it your system wants to engage in order to activate a very clear relationship with your creative life force, because it's in every single one of us. What makes a human being a little bit different is our consciousness and our capacity to co-create with life consciously. And we're here for that. And ignoring it becomes the peril of the whole collective, right? And when we access it and be willing to play with it, not for the outcome, not for what's going to hang on some gallery wall. It's not about that. It's about for who you become and who you recognize yourself to be and how you heal in the engaging of it. This is what's important.
Okay, so another couple of layers here. First of all, when we encounter beauty, something amazing happens inside our brain. And before I keep unpacking the rest of what you just said, what is that something that happens?
Yeah, what that something is, based in research, is that when we view something beautiful, our brain activates areas that are associated with meaning and pleasure and emotional regulation. So this is how beauty and art and, the things we've already said can regulate our nervous system and our emotions. And people gloss over that like it's nothing, and it's everything, right? So, it's literally the viewing of beauty as a biological experience, and it's an ordering of our brain. And it also helps us, beauty helps us remember what coherence feels like in our body. And coherence is the acknowledgement of our being whole. We have blueprints of wholeness in every one of our cells. We have 70 trillion cells. That's a lot of wholeness. And we blanket it with our beliefs and our poor nutrition and, all of our, the choices we make keeps that wholeness unexpressed. Being in a creative experience or being, viewing beauty reminds us that it exists there and that we can draw it up. We can ask that wholeness to come to our conscious awareness and express through our system. And that's the reason we wanted to be in this human body.
Yeah. All right. So I want you to repeat those three things. When we encounter beauty, something amazing happens inside our brain. There were three specific things you said, and I want you to say them again.
Of course. So when we view beauty, our brain it goes to the areas in our brain that is associated with pleasure, meaning, and emotional regulation.
Yes. Okay.
A regulation of our stress, our nervous system.
And that's why I wanted you to say it again, because, a lot of people try to use conventional stress management techniques,
Yes.
which is really about symptom control. Those
Yes.
conventional techniques are about over and over again trying to control our stress.
Yes.
That's
And that's an emotional stress, just doing that.
exactly. And
Yeah.
what encountering beauty and entering into that liminal space of creative life force enables in us is emotional regulation. It's not stress management. It's a reconfiguration of our nervous system so that we don't have to manage stress because we're not feeling it anymore.
Exactly. It's a rewiring of our brain. Now, being in a calm state and coherent state is natural for a human body. It doesn't feel that way to most of us because what feels natural or normal, I should say, is living in a stress response, which most people do. It's the underpinnings of all disease and disharmony and mental, and emotional dysregulation. If we do it enough, if we train ourselves to receive beauty through our eyes and through our senses and purposefully, intentionally, consciously engage with it and be grateful for it and acknowledge it, it will reactivate the brain tract that's already set up in our system and regulate our nervous system for calm.
Good. Well, after our upcoming break, we're going to return for this episode's final segment, during which I'll be asking Laurie Morse to reveal her way of helping us do exactly what we've been talking about in this segment on how to expand and deepen our relationship with creativity and our capacity to recognize the difference between these two states, the disconnected state and the coherence state. I'm Dr. David Gruder. This is the Reimagining Humanity's Future and Your show on the CanCom Broadcast Network, and we're going to return in a moment with some really juicy information about how you can really start to put this into action. Back in a moment.
Are you looking for handcrafted quality that will stand the test of time? At Benchland Woodworking, beautiful wood creations are built with skill, passion, and attention to detail. From custom furniture and home decor to unique handcrafted pieces, every project is designed to bring warmth, character, and lasting beauty to your home. Whether you're searching for a one-of-a-kind gift or a custom piece made just for you, Benchland Woodworking delivers craftsmanship you can see and quality you can trust. Visit benchlandwoodworking.ca. Benchland Woodworking, handcrafted quality, timeless design, built to last. That's benchlandwoodworking.ca.
And now we're back. Before the break, visual alchemist Laurie Morse and I discussed moment-to-moment ways to tap into our creative life force. And as I already mentioned, during this final segment of this episode called Reimagining Creativity Part 1, because Laurie's going to be back with us in the next episode as well, the doorway into your creative life force, Laurie will reveal, and I'll say some things about her ways of helping people live in a state of creative partnership. And I'll then let you know about a special gift Laurie has for you for tuning into this episode and how to learn more about what she provides. And after that, Laurie and I will each share what we hope you've gained from this episode, followed by my closing comments. So Laurie, how do you help people live more fully into their creative life force?
Yeah, well, I wanted to add one thing from the
Sure.
last segment,
Yeah.
which is make a list. So this is I do this, and I have people do this, which is make a list of, and you might not have anything on the list yet. You might only have one or two things. This is going to be something that you develop over a little bit of time, of what you find beautiful. And when you see something that's beautiful, put your hand on your heart, because you're training yourself to open your heart to beauty, and then drop your head in your heart. Like the way I do it is I imagine that my head is in an elevator and it's just dropping into my heart. Now I might have to do that a million times a day, but it's better now. But it's a thing, right? So you just have to keep dropping, put your hand on your heart and acknowledge what you find beautiful around you. And when you're chopping vegetables, or playing with your pet, or planting a flower outside, or any of those kinds of things, ask, direct yourself to be present. Feel the leaves, feel the hair on your pet, all the things. Feel, be engaged, and just give yourself moments. These are gifts that you give yourself of being fully present with whatever you're doing, engaged, making with your hands, or acknowledging beauty. Those are the two sides of the coin, while you hold the inquiry open of what you find beautiful and what you may want to be in creative exchange with.
Well, that's beautiful, and I think it's one of many valuable practical things that you are able to offer to people. I'm going to restate what you just said so that it really sinks in for our audience, which
Okay.
is build a list over time. It's not one of these lists that you sit down once and you've got the whole list in one sitting. Build a list over time of all the things you find beautiful. And whenever you see one of those things, put your hand on your heart to help you drop into your heart and direct yourself to be present to it.
Yes.
That's a really good practical thing to practice in and among other things. So what else, how else do you help people live more fully into their creative life force?
Yeah, well, I've already mentioned some of the mindfulness things. One of the things I know is that the soul is, so first of all, we have to acknowledge that we have a soul. Now, that may or may not be something that you think about very often, but our soul is the part of us that prompts us to evolve, right? To evolve ourselves as beings of love. And there are lots of cracks and crevices in our life where we aren't that. And the soul speaks in image, color, and beauty. And this is why it's so important. So, one of the ways I help people is to just bring their awareness and their consciousness to this idea. I also make art, and my art is very specifically, intentionally created with my creative life force, which has been expanding over time to basically be as big as the universe. When I'm in that zone of creating, I no longer play tug of war with what I'm doing. I'm just in it, and that comes through. That's held in the piece. So whoever you enjoy as art, whether it's mine or someone else's, I think it's important that you give yourself permission to collect, or purchase, or download. David's going to tell you about a complimentary downloadable option that you'll have. And what you want to do when you find your things of beauty, when you find the art that makes you feel is beauty to your eyes, encode in yourself an intention that every time you look at it, your nervous system settles. So these are touchstones throughout your day that remind your nervous system to come back into that coherence. You can, collect art, and if you don't do that, it will be more of a passing thing. It'll just be a flitting thing as you look at the piece of art. But if you program yourself intentionally, then you have this string throughout the day in and day out, these strings of touchstones that bring your nervous system into regulation. And pretty soon, just like a chiropractic adjustment, your nervous system will be able to hold itself in regulation rather than constantly being yanked out by news and distractions, which abound. We all know that, right? But it's a worthy training to do this. It's like that thing, pick your hard. It's really hard to be distracted and, lost in the chaos of the world's happenings. And it's also hard to train our nervous system, but it's a more worthy hard. So, pick your hard, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's another important mic drop moment. Pick your hard, because it's going to be hard either way. So you might as well pick the hard that prompts you to reconnect with your soul.
Right.
And the doorways include image, color, and beauty, and committing to surrounding yourself with what we might call beauty touchstones,
Hmm.
these visual cues that that we can utilize consciously uh, through encoding an intention that every time we look at those, our nervous system settles and comes back into coherence.
And calm. We have normalized stress. It's ridiculous how much we have normalized stress, right? I'm sort of like on a path here where it's about normalizing calm. So when you pick your beauty, or your art or whatever you're going to, acknowledge as a nervous system regulator, you're normalizing calm to yourself. And when we do that, it actually does get easier. It seems hard at first. We're saying pick your hard, but it actually gets easier. And I can't say that for the other path. It continues to just be hard.
Right.
So it's kind of a no-brainer.
So this also bears repeating, and I'm going to go straight from this into sharing about the amazing
Yeah.
gift that you have for our audience. Stop normalizing stress. Normalize calm instead. That's, I think, a universal message. It is a touchstone, a cornerstone of emerging from being susceptible to societal traumatic stress disorder.
Absolutely. Yep.
Throughout our conversation in this episode, we've explored how beauty isn't simply something we appreciate. It's something we consciously cultivate because it shapes our consciousness and regulates our nervous system far more than most people realize. And Laurie has created a wonderful gift for you. And this is a gift. This is not a commercial. It's a gift to help you more fully experience that for yourself. A complimentary collection of 5 digital artworks that she's consciously designed to help serve as daily touchstones for cultivating greater peace, normalizing calm, and that beauty and that nervous system regulation needs to be stimulated by what we surround ourselves with. So rather than simply admiring them as beautiful works of art, you'll learn how to use them as part of a simple daily practice that trains your awareness toward greater calm, resilience, authentic resilience, not stress management, and
Right.
wholeness. And you can receive your complimentary collection through this forwarder link, because the actual link is long. It'll be hard for you to remember. So I created a short forwarder link that'll take you there, which is thecess.com. That's THECESS.com. That's the Center for Enlightened Self-Sovereignty. Thecess.com/art. Very simple to remember. Thecess.com/art. Laurie, in a short non-run-on sentence, what's the biggest takeaway you hope our audience received from this episode?
I think the biggest one is that you are an aspect of creative life force. You are an extension of creative life force. Every particle in your being is creative. And turning towards that instead of away from that will be medicine.
Yeah, beautiful. And my takeaway is there is no such thing as not being creative. There's just being in denial of that. There's just being disconnected from that.
Yes,
there is such a thing as depriving ourselves of fuller access to our creativity and developing more moment-to-moment access to and utilization of our creative life force. So as we move toward wrapping up this episode, I want to let you know again how to access the gift and access more about Laurie. So the gift is available through thecess.com, THECESS.com/art. And you can view all of Laurie's art at, and this is simple to remember too, lauriemorseart.com. So Morse is spelled like Morse code, M-O-R-S-E, and Laurie is L-A-U-R-I-E. lauriemorse.com. Thank you so very much, Laurie, for helping us.
lauriemorseart.com.
lauriemorseart.com.
Yeah. You left out
did
the art. Yeah, it's okay.
Art.
Just You
Oh,
left out the art part. Yeah. When you said
oh,
it. Yeah.
sorry. Thank you
No,
for
no.
catching that.
Yeah.
LaurieMorseArt.com.
That's right.
Thanks so much, Laurie, for helping us understand during this first part of the two-part mini-series you and I are doing about what the creative life force is and how to deepen our access to it, and for being here on my show.
Absolutely. It was a pleasure.
And thank you all for joining me for this episode of Reimagining Humanity's Future and Yours on the CanCom Broadcast Network, proudly broadcasting from Canada to the world. Every civilization ultimately becomes an expression of the consciousness its people repeatedly cultivate. And that's why Reimagining Humanity's Future and Yours explores the inner capacities that shape our collective future as much as the outer challenges we face. So until next time, notice one moment of beauty today and let it become a conscious act of helping shape the future you want to live into. This has been Dr. David Gruder, the futurist, polymath of human potential, bottleneck buster, and civilizational architect who equips leading edge leaders, influencers, and you with frameworks and skills that make it possible for humanity's most spiritually elevated future to at last emerge. I invite you to explore my main website, drgruder.com. That's drgruder.com, where you'll find a link to watch or listen to all of this show's episodes, to my books and keynote offerings, and to the Center for Enlightened Self-Sovereignty. And I'll wrap up by just reminding you, the world needs you. Your nation needs you. Your community needs you. Your loved ones need you. You need you. And tapping into and creating an ongoing relationship with our unique forms of creativity is one of the underestimated and vitally important keys to helping create the future you most want to see emerge for yourself and the future that humanity most needs to emerge into, so that we can put an end to the craziness and the divisiveness and the societal traumatic stress disorder that engulfs us these days. So until next time, keep elevating your capacity to fulfill your highest calling, so together we succeed at building an elevated future for ourselves and for humanity.